In this tutorial, we are going to introduce you to the task pipeline. So the task pipeline consists of the lure task, the synchronization task, the compound task, and the function task. So we'll begin with the lure task. We'll drag the lure task onto the graph. So we're working within the batters graph here. So with the lure task, we can actually directly edit the script. So if we click at the bottom of the graph here on the right hand side on show script, it will actually directly show you a place where you can edit the lure script. So for example purposes, we can just print hello world out to the screen. So this is just a very simple piece of lure code which is running within the lure task. So we also have available here the lure output window. So if you don't have the lure output window visible, click on views, lure output, and that will hide or show the lure output. So we'll run the project and stimulate the lure task, and in the lure output is hello world as we expected. Now if some kind of behaviour that you want in your game or simulation doesn't exist within the mat, you can actually create your own complex or even simple behaviours using Lure script. So the next task within the task pipeline is the synchronization task. We'll drag the synchronization task directly onto the graph. So with the synchronization task, the graph is directly visible, which means that we can add other tasks or activities or conditions within the actual synchronization task, and it will be visible from the graph itself. So with the synchronization task, anything which is not connected on a start pin will be automatically run with the start of the synchronization task, and the synchronization task will not finish until all of the tasks within the synchronization task are also finished. So that means if you have 2 or 3 different pieces of script within the synchronization task which all must finish at the same time, then that is the purpose why you would use a synchronization task. So on the opposite of that, we have the compound task. So the compound task is not directly, the graph is not directly visible. So in order to access the graph, we need to double click on the compound task in order to access the compound task's graph. So if we return back to the actual task itself, then what we can do is we can remove big pieces of complex visual script and stow them away inside the compound task. So for example, here we can, if we click shift and select all of the visual script from here, and then we can go edit, copy, then when we click inside the compound task, we can edit, paste, so I had to use Control V there because edit paste didn't actually do what I wanted it to. So if that happens, just use your keyboard shortcuts for copy and paste, which are Control C and Control V. So now within the compound task, I have to connect the start to the very first piece of visual script I want to run, and the finish to the out. So once everything is done, everything can go to the out. Now there is something here which directly needs the synchronization task. So the set position and set orientation would be nice candidates for a synchronization task. So we'll drag the synchronization task directly onto the graph. We'll disconnect the set position and set orientation from follow path, and now we will drag the set position, make a little bit more room, and the set orientation directly inside the synchronization task. So when we drag the synchronization task, these 2 other tasks are now part of that task, but the graph is directly visible. So now when the synchronization task starts, these 2 tasks will also start, and when they're finished, the synchronization task will be finished. So now we can connect the follow path onto the start of the synchronization task, drag that down so it looks pretty, connect the done to the out, and now we have basically used a compound task in order to hide away all of this code. So now we can shift and select all of that code and remove it from the batter graph, and now all of that code is connected within the compound task. So now when we use on mouse click to the compound task, we have exactly the same thing as we had before, except for now it's contained within the compound task graph. So we can show that working. So we did that on the batter, so on the mouse click on the batter, so we'll click the picture to throw the ball, click the batter, he hits the ball as we would expect. The compound task has just been run, the batter runs around the pitch as expected. So as you can see, we've simplified the batter's graph and stowed away a lot of the actual visual script within the compound task. For the function task, we can directly drag that onto the graph as well. For the function task, you can create different mathematical formula and have the output onto the result pin. So you create any formula you would like within the formula field. The input parameters are created directly from the formula itself. So here we have A and B. If we were to add another variable and click set, then it would automatically add the C, and we also have the input pin for C. So you would connect these to the inputs, and the result of the formula would be output on the result